I think we're good.
We're good. We did it. Good morning.
Hello.
We're just live
There we
right at
go.
10 right now.
Well, we always have trouble getting these set up.
Yes.
And then,
Especially without Olivia.
yeah. And then Ben gave us our nice little hotkeys of what to switch on our, platform stuff. And I think I immediately broke it.
Yeah, then the keys aren't working.
So,
Bear with us today, but good morning.
yes, good morning. We're going to kind of blow through the pre-chat since we're running a minute or so
10:02.
late.
Yeah.
But I clicked it right. I'm Clayton Clemens.
And I'm Kari Vogt.
Yeah, happy to have you back.
Thank
Been a
you.
little bit.
It's been a little bit. Yes, it has been. I'm always excited that I'm welcomed back.
Yeah, always, Kari.
It's been a little bit.
We love you.
Well, thanks.
So today we want to just jump right in, and we're going to talk about how to pick the right carrier.
A very important decision.
For sure.
So important.
So with the right carrier, we're going to talk. Not pre-chat. I'm going to get better at clicking, I promise. But for picking the right carrier, we kind of wanted to talk through about a few of the complementary or ancillary products, however you might refer to those, and say, if you're starting to add one of these, what are the main things to look for?
Yep.
Is it easy to write? Do you easily bundle it? Does it even make sense for you to add this to your portfolio based off what you're doing? So yeah, we'll just kind of go through some of these.
And there's so many carriers, and one of the things that I get asked a ton since I sell a lot of Medicare supplements is, well, can't I just tack it onto the supplement?
Yeah.
And a lot of times that is an option, but when you compare, adding on a dental writer to a med sup, the standalone product is usually a lot better.
Yeah. And that's a good thing to consider too with some of these is like, is it already built in? Is it something I can easily add, or do I need something standalone?
Yep. And I like to at least show them both. I'm like, you know what? If you get a Mutual of Omaha Plan G, this is what their dental plan would look like. Let me show you another one that I think is going to be even better.
Yeah. So let's look at the complementary products we're going to kind of go over today. I'll fly through this really fast. We wanted to highlight what we call like our 4 key coverages. So that's your hospital expenses and medical expenses. Medical obviously would be taken care of with like their Med Sup or Med Advantage, whatever they're on there. Some cancer expenses, their long-term care expenses. So if that's recovering at the home, a facility, whatever that might be. And then their final expenses. But another large area we see a lot of the ancillary or complementary benefits being is dental. I know that's a major reason people switch from like a Med Sup to a Med Advantage.
Yep.
Just because they want those benefits. They see the ads for them, everything like that.
Dental is the number one product that I get asked about, ancillary at least, because I think a lot of them also are coming from a plan that has that.
Right. You get a lot of those T65ers who said, I had a group plan. You say, what did you have? Let's rebuild it.
Yep, exactly.
So those 4 key coverage are basically the areas that we all know that Medicare or Medicare Supplement Advantage, whatever they're on, leaves them for the most risk or the most kind of catastrophic events.
They're holes. They're holes in the coverage.
These are where they're going to spend most of their money.
For sure.
And then dental, like you said, it's just everyone's going to be asking about it. So we wanted to make sure we talked about that today too.
And I love these products because they are what is going to make your client a client for life. You
Right.
know, if you just have one policy with them, they can leave you. But the more you add on, you're just securing that relationship.
For sure. So let's look at it. Am I going to click the right one?
We'll see. Yeah, you
I
got
did
it.
it. Okay. So first we'll start off with the hospital and medical expenses. So like we talked about, the medical side of things taken care of with their kind of core plan, the Med Sup or Med Advantage. But we wanted to look at hospital indemnity plans. So me and Kari were kind of quickly talking about this and trying to decide like if this is even something that would make sense for your client base or what you're doing. So
it does for some of them, but I'm just by my client base, I largely am selling Medicare supplements and Part Ds. And in my opinion, a HIP plan doesn't really make sense. Now, I do have a handful of Medicare Advantage clients, and I do always talk about a HIP.
Yeah.
But the way I present a HIP, sometimes, again, a more affluent client, they just see, a $3,900 out of pocket, $300 copay in the hospital.
Yeah.
I can handle
It
that.
doesn't take as big of a hit.
Yeah, they don't take as big of a hit. So I am not an expert in hips.
Yeah. Well,
But I'm gonna learn from you today.
I got you. So,
I still have some that are on it.
well,
but-
yeah, and you're bringing it up, which is the important thing.
Yes, for
so
sure.
By you picking the right carrier, you picked one, so you have something.
Yep.
And I think that's the kind of important message with all of these is we want to make sure you have one, but let's look at the kind of little details on plans to be looking at when you're either kind of shopping around which one you should be offering.
Absolutely. I feel like the biggest one for hips is the guarantee issue.
Boom.
There we go.
You don't
Hey,
need
I
to
knew
learn
that
from
one.
me at all. So that was kind of the main thing that I talk with agents about is kind of looking at the large GI window.
And didn't one expand?
They
Didn't
did.
one recently just expand?
Which one? You got it.
It wasn't GTO.
It wasn't?
Is it GTO?
It was.
Oh,
I just wanted to
okay.
get you being right on camera. So yeah, GTL jumped from 64.5 to 65.5 to now it's 64.5 to 68.
Oh, 68.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking 66.
Yeah.
Gosh, how
So-
can they do that? That's awesome.
It's a large GI window, so that's kind of one main thing to look at.
Wow.
Other carriers have similar GI windows, but that's kind of one of the main things to look at is how many people can I get on this plan with a guaranteed
Yes,
issue? It just makes it
absolutely.
so much easier. Everyone's going to be able to kind of get on that plan early in their time, but also the age range. Working with clients on the ACA side, you obviously want to make sure that your hospital indemnity plan drops down. Some of them go like around 40 is pretty typical, but you can get plans all the way down to 18.
There you go.
So depending on what market you're working at, if it's mostly med subs, it's not going to make a ton of sense to offer or hospital indemnity plans to everyone. But if you're on the ACA side, you need to have an even bigger window. to
Are a
look
lot
at.
of your guys' agents do ACA too?
So we don't do a ton with ACA. We have a few states. I think it's like Illinois, Missouri, and Kansas. So we don't have a ton doing it. But I've talked with carriers that said a bulk of their hospital indemnity is through the
I would
ACA
imagine
side.
so because the plans are not competitive.
Right. Yeah.
That's genius.
So they need a little help.
Yeah.
So if you're doing
But
ACA,
I've never
look at
thought
that.
of that. I have so many like spouses who, one spouse joins Medicare and the other one's on the ACA. And I need to get them on a hip.
Yeah. So with GTL goes down to like 40. I want to say
Guys.
Medico goes down to like 18.
I'm going to sell a lot of hips right now.
She's, ooh, we'll talk. We'll
I
talk
have,
later.
yes. I just have so many in that situation, I feel like.
Yeah.
Where there's always a younger spouse bridging a gap.
See, this is exactly what I wanted to do today.
It's perfect.
The FMO side versus the agent side and kind of coming together and being like, what do
Yep.
we need to do?
You're doing it.
I love this. So other things to look at, like I said, age range important, guaranteed issues, obviously the kind of key thing there. If they don't have a GI window, just look elsewhere and see somebody that does because you want people to be able to obviously get on these plans.
Yep.
The customizable day and benefit amount, that's basically just make sure it can match up with your MA plans. You're not going to find any that aren't terribly
I
customizable.
feel like the customizable days are pretty similar across
Right.
carriers, right?
Yeah, so the customizable day part is kind of like the core of the plan.
Yeah.
But because all these different MA plans building all their different, new products, everything, you just want to make sure no matter what the industry, what? I don't know what's wrong with me some days. No matter what is the plan switches to, you can make that MA plan get matched perfectly with your hospital
Yeah.
indemnity.
Perfect.
And then the other one would be,
Oh,
there it is the rider
Rider.
options. So because like on a scope of appointment, hospital indemnity is on there and a lot of other ancillary products aren't, hospital indemnity plans with rider options kind of gives you another little avenue to
Oh, there
slide
you
in
go.
and compliantly offer some more products. So look what they've got. I can say just off the top of my head, ambulance coverage is a huge one.
yep. And the rehab.
Yes.
I always do the rehab.
Yeah.
Yep.
So exactly, like find ones that
I
you know.
feel like with Advantage plans, I've over and over I've heard stories of they needed physical therapy 3 times a week for 6 weeks, and they might not necessarily cover 3 times a week for 6 weeks. So if you have that rider in there, they can still get that care, and the out of pocket costs won't be on them.
See, amazing. So just like find something that's going to work for your clients and kind of the gaps that you see that your clients are frequently needing. Find that plan. But if you're needing help, your upline should be able to assist you in kind of finding your perfect plan. But again, something's going to be better than nothing. So if you've got hospital indemnity or Medicare Advantage, offer some hospital indemnity. ACA people,
Yep.
look at them as well.
My mind is blown right now. Something I've never thought of.
So,
Really
good.
excited.
We learned.
Yes.
I learned that from a carrier not too long ago, so I can't be like, ooh, I knew this. But the kind of main one that I like to talk about all the time,
Yes,
which
you
you will
are the
never hear
expert.
me not talk about it, will be cancer insurance. Cancer expenses are going to be kind of the main reason people are hitting their MOOP, hitting their kind of catastrophic coverage on their Part D plans,
Yep.
whatever it might be. So looking at cancer insurance is something that I want everyone to do. I will never stop saying it. I am so sorry if you get annoyed with it, but do it.
Listen to him. Seriously.
So, things to consider when looking at I'll keep going back. Cancer insurance is looking at, is it a lump sum plan? That is kind of the main kicker that we see anymore. Kind of people getting away from the Aflac style of plans or those pay-per services. They want just, if I get diagnosis, I get this lump sum.
Yeah.
Like, it's easy to understand. A few other quick things to go over would be like looking at if they have a reoccurrence rider. So if you're worried about getting cancer once,
I feel like that's a big one.
yeah, you're probably worried about getting it
Yeah,
twice.
for sure.
Case in point.
And that might not be something that everybody would necessarily think about. I don't know. So I feel like that's just something good to focus on.
Yeah, that's a really good thing. A lot of carriers have the option, but it's just making sure that they have something in place where if they were to get cancer a second time while holding on to that policy, that they get some of that benefit amount back. And these are going to be products that no matter what you're offering, whatever lines of insurance that you're doing, this is something you can be offering. So looking at the few things,
I kind of have a funny, looking back now, but kind of a terrible cancer policy experience with a client.
Tell us, what do you got?
So I was in a presentation meeting with a client, and she had just shared with me that she had just got diagnosed with cancer. I had a new agent who was like shadowing me, and he brought up, he was like, well, we have great like cancer policies. And I was like,
oh, buddy.
keep wanting to kick him. And I was like, we do. But, you know, sorry he dangled that fruit, but you've already been diagnosed. So
yeah.
Let's move on.
Which kind of brings me to the next point.
The underwriting one?
Yeah, is looking at their underwriting look back.
Yes.
Because it's unfortunately not something for people who have just got the diagnosis.
Right.
The kind of shortest look back that I see is that 5-year look back. A couple carriers have 10, which isn't terrible.
Yeah.
That can also help lower the premium. So you're kind of judging what your client base looks like again.
What carriers look back 10? Do you know off the top of your head?
Mutual of Omaha is 10. What's the other one?
So that's a good point.
Mutual and one other. I want to say it's Cigna, but I could be wrong.
Because, if the look back period is farther, their premiums are definitely going to be lower.
Yeah, because they know they're taking on a little bit less risk.
Right, for sure.
The 5-year look back, most people know, like, if you've gone through any kind of cancer diagnosis or had loved ones do it, 5 years is kind of the key benchmark for kind of that clean bill of health. They check you out a lot during those first 5 years after your treatment's over.
Okay.
And then once you hit 5 years, they kind of push out how often they're checking on you.
Interesting.
So carriers look at that. The reoccurrence riders look at that of saying like, okay, we'll give you more of the benefit amount back after that 5 years.
Got it.
So a lot of things to consider, but the main thing is how easy is it to write? Because if you have that product, most of them aren't terribly different. There's a little bit of niches in there, but like, what are you comfortable with? Is it like, if you've been writing Aetna's e-app before?
Right.
Like, easy, done, do it.
There's
Cigna,
something to be
same
said
idea.
for that, for sure, if you're familiar with it.
Yeah. And let's say like you've been offering hospital indemnity plans, like some of these carriers like GTL also has a really good cancer plan.
Yep.
So stick with what you know.
What are your thoughts on because I know like the hips have the cancer rider.
Yes. So my thoughts on it would be
Separate
if possible.
Yep.
So I say separate if possible because, one, if the client cancels the hospital plan, poof, there goes their cancer plan.
But the HIP is still there.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so if you want to make sure they can do one of the both or one of the either, it is a little bit more of a work on your end there.
Right.
Do a little more paperwork. But think if they were to cancel one, both kind of go away.
Yeah.
However, if you're seeing a lot of clients and you want to make sure they have the plan, instruct them, like talk to me before you want to cancel this plan because this is what will happen.
Right.
Because that's just what you don't want to have.
Yeah.
Is like,
for sure.
oh no, I don't have a plan anymore.
Yeah.
But also is during AEP, compliantly on certain scopes, you're not able to write a cancer plan or discuss a cancer plan because it's technically a financial product. Even though it's like a health diagnosis that gets you the lump sum, it's just not considered a health product sometimes.
Silly compliance.
Yes. So like Medicare Center, their scope of appointment just says ancillary products.
Okay.
So like depending on your wording, you can look at that.
There you go.
Kind of the other compliance workaround would be, talking about a hospital indemnity plan and mention a cancer insurance rider on there. And if they decide not to, be like, well, if the cancer insurance part, we can kind of come back to that. But CMS encouraged me to, I can't discuss that today. We'll have to set a follow-up appointment. So you can just
have
end it there and move it back.
Separate appointment for cancer policy.
Yeah. Which, awesome. Do it.
It's needed.
So, I keep clicking the wrong one.
You're good. You're doing great. You're doing better than I would.
So that's kind of the main things to look at is it a lump sum? Do they have some kind of reoccurrence? What other riders do they have? Skin cancer often falls into that other rider option. And then kind of their underwriting and look back period. You did mention, so that client that had a cancer diagnosis, there's a ton of financial assistance that's out there for people that have a diagnosis.
Okay.
So something that I've worked on is grabbing like all those kind of resources.
Where do you get those?
So I have it on, it's called our Care Initiative webpage.
Okay.
But there's a ton of foundations out there like American Cancer Society. Cancer Care is one that I love to recommend. That people they get a sum of money, these companies do. And if somebody were to get a diagnosis, they can kind of write them a letter or fill out some form to request some kind of assistance. So like Cancer Care cut me a $2,500 check.
Oh my gosh.
Because I was telling them I was going up to Mayo Clinic, need some assistance. I got a check in the mail like within a week. It was awesome. So I always recommend them.
Okay, and that's on the Care Initiative site.
Yes.
Okay.
So I will try to make sure that comes out on some resource
that's
or on the
really
Facebook
cool.
page. I'll put it out there. I love it. There's also some really specific stuff. So like there's cold caps that you could borrow. Like Wilson's does that. Where it's like, oh, you got a cold cap. So if you're going through chemo, can help try to save your hair. There's people who will help come clean your house.
Oh my
There's
gosh.
the love seat that will help.
Yep, the love seat.
Like there's a ton of these individual organizations out there. So definitely be looking on that. And we got a comment from Brad here. Wish GTL had the cancer rider in Kansas. That is true. It's going to be real state specific. You can also look at it as if the cancer rider can also be a reason they don't cancel the hospital indemnity plan.
For sure.
Ooh, that's a really good point. There's always two sides of the coin there.
Yeah.
So if you're worried about them canceling and they're really attached to that cancer policy, be like, if you cancel this, you're going to lose this too. And this is really important. Here's why again.
Yeah.
So good point, Brad.
Great point.
Next thing we'll get into is the kind of long-term care expenses. And we're looking at not just like long-term care, but home health care, short-term care, that kind of thing.
Our clientele is really kind of past the sweet spot of enrolling in long-term care, like traditional full-blown long-term care. I feel like the sweet spot to enroll in that is like 50s up to 60. Typically most people by 65, if you don't already have long-term care in place, your age is going to make your premiums very expensive.
They are expensive plans nowadays.
Or you're wanting it at the point when, it's too late to pass the health underwriting.
Yeah, like you're going to have to go to a nursing home, and it's like, again, it's like that cancer diagnosis.
Right.
It's like, it's kind of too late.
Long-term care is something that, like, it is so, like, I talk about in every single meeting. I talk about it because I want them to make sure they know and understand, Medicare does not cover long-term care.
Yeah.
And some people already have long-term care policy in place, of course, but a home health care policy is such a good hybrid,
Yeah.
in my opinion. And what I find it interesting is that a lot of my financial advisors I work with aren't familiar with them or know that they're out there, because I don't write a lot of home health care because a lot of the clients I work with, they already have a long-term care policy in place. But I've been in meetings at advising offices where I'll bring up a home health care policy because they told me, well, we tried to get them long-term care, but it was too expensive,
Right.
or it was too, they just couldn't pass the health underwriting. And so I kind of have looked like a hero to both the advisor and the client when they say, well, hey, what about a home health care policy?
Yeah. And, that's something that's considered too, is just who you're working with. Like you said, the age range matters, who that person's coming from, because you've got those financial partners who are taking care of that early, and then they come to you for their Medicare. So kind of focusing then on the home healthcare aspect, kind of the main details, I'll go through these ones pretty quick, of just look at their max daily benefit. A lot of these carriers out there in the market are very similar. There's a couple plans I can think of with Manhattan and GTL, which if you laid them side by side are going to look almost identical. Just the lines might be shifted one or something.
But they're pretty identical.
The biggest one that I think is on here, the simple underwriting. Most of these are pretty easy to get through. See what kind of riders they have. But is that second bullet point, is that prescription drug benefit?
Makes it free, pretty much.
Pretty much makes it free, which is crazy to me that this is something
they're taking drugs, of course.
Right.
But the majority of clients are.
So look at your client's drug list, because those clients are also typically getting declined for a lot of things.
Yep.
The simple underwriting will help get them through. And the prescription drug benefit is exactly that, of you take this many prescriptions, we give you X amount of dollars. So depending on what plan they pick, they can start getting some of their premium basically paid for by the carrier for taking the drugs that they already are.
And all it takes is just sending in your receipts.
It's really
Do you remember
easy.
the Kemper's policy?
I have heard of it. I wasn't around for that one.
I don't know how that was around. It went off of the retail price of a drug, which you take one drug basically and you've met that, and it was free, and you could get two. And so you could get
2 policies?
You could get 2 Kemper policies. I have 2 clients who have 2 Kemper policies.
Still in effect?
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Good for them. Keep those policies around.
Yeah.
Yes.
But they quickly realized they obviously were just giving away money.
Yeah, pretty much. And it feels like that with a lot of these different options for the short-term care, because they'll give you $15 for a generic or $25 for a brand name. And when you look at the kind of cost of these, typically they're around $30 or $50, somewhere in that mark. It's hold on, I take 3 drugs.
Right.
My premium, it's there's a max benefit on how much money you can get back now. Probably shout out to Kemper for breaking that system. But to look at that and just say, okay, you're taking this many drugs, here's really how much your premium would cost after you just give me some receipts and we file some claims.
I've had some people have said well, that sounds too good to be true.
Yeah.
And you're skeptical about it.
It kind of does.
Yeah.
I understand.
Yeah.
But let me show you on this brochure where they tell us.
Yes, they say it in writing.
All we got to do is get me some receipts.
Brad said, who all has the RX benefit? GTL and Manhattan both.
GTL and Manhattan.
I can't think of who else has one.
I want to say Allstate is getting a short-term care or maybe home health care. So I know Manhattan and GTL.
Allstate is coming up. Will GTL reimburse for drugs if they pay a 0 copay with their traditional insurance?
Yes. That's the coolest
part.
Yeah,
because it's about the number of prescriptions they take, not what their copay is. It's just about, do you take 1 or do you take 8 medications?
Exactly. And they just look at, is it brand name or is it generic? Yeah. They don't care how much the client paid for it. It's just,
brand name gets reimbursed. How much?
I want to say it's 15.
15, and then generics are, is it 5?
I want to say it's
10.
Oh, no, sorry. Had that backwards. I want to say it's 15 for generic.
And 25.
25 for brand name.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they'll give you a little bit more if you take a brand name.
Yeah.
But yes, they'll give it to you. Oh no. But yeah, that kind of wraps up the long-term care anyway. That's why I wanted to click on slide
10
5.
and 25. There we go.
Boom. Thank you, Carissa. Carissa does a lot of these, so thank you.
Good for you.
So, next one I wanted to look at is one that's just everyone's going to need it at some point. It's the one kind of plan you can guarantee that if the client has it, they will use it, because immortality is not a thing yet.
Yet.
Science hasn't caught up yet.
Keyword yet.
Okay, aliens exist now. We know that for sure. So, like, let's just hold off on the for sure everyone's going to use this.
There we go.
But something that we look at is a lot of times, people are looking to their agent to offer all the different things, including life insurance.
Yep.
So with final expense, underwriting is the name of the game. This is typically where I'd recommend having more than just one carrier.
Yeah.
Because you want to have options if they can't get through underwriting. So look to see if they have a height and weight chart. See if there's any kind of obvious drugs that they're going to get declined on, so you can have kind of a go-to secondary option. And then look at the rates. They're not going to vary a ton, but obviously you're not going to want to recommend the most expensive final expense plan out there.
No. So full disclosure, I have never once sold a final expense policy. I've talked about them, but
you probably have life insurance.
yeah,
so,
they have
okay.
full blown life insurance, and so I haven't sold one.
Okay, so
The day's coming though.
So here's the
I still have
FMO
to
brain
have it
kicking
in
in
my
of telling you why, maybe.
Okay.
Because life insurance plans can take a while to get that money to the client,
Okay.
kind of going through whatever processes they have to go through,
Okay.
where final expense is designed to get that money in the client's hands quickly.
Okay.
So as far as like a burial service comes up, say they've got a multi-million-dollar life insurance plan, then the people left behind or whoever's going to get that policy, somebody's got to foot the bill
money
before they get that. And in certain situations, that could be kind of a hairy conversation to have.
Yeah.
Like brother and sister
for
say,
families,
well,
for
no, you have
sure.
to pay this because I'm getting this junk. Like,
Yep.
have to have that conversation where the final expense plan just says, let's get that money to the beneficiary, like, quick.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
So it'll
Look
be
at
a
all this you're teaching me today.
much smaller amount than that life
Yep.
insurance policy. So, like,
But it is
they'll
faster.
understand that the family's going to be taken care of afterwards.
Okay.
This is specifically just their burial. Like burial, cremation, whatever path they decide, that money gets them very fast.
I like it.
Yeah. So like your affluent clients that already have that life insurance probably could afford just a small policy just for their burial and say this money goes to this person because they're the ones planning my service.
Yep.
Boom.
There you go.
Yeah.
You're just teaching me all kinds of things today.
Well, here's your time to shine. Talk to me about dental policies.
Oh man. Dental is, I feel like when I think back to like how I present a dental plan and how I present carriers, I hear like you're a terrible seller, but somehow it works. Like a lot of times the words out of my mouth is I say dental plans are often expensive for what they offer. Like I say that over and over because I'm being honest.
Yeah.
And so I will oftentimes say they're expensive for what they offer. If you get like Aetna, obviously you got to look at premiums. Like, Aetna might be, we'll say $35 for $1,000 annual benefit. Or you can get a bundled DVH for $35, $37, and you get all three of them. And so I focus a lot on cost because I do think they are expensive for what they offer. But I go back to that slide. I'm going to talk in circles here.
No, you nailed the first one. Is it dental or is it dental vision hearing?
And you have to also ask, like I've had a handful of people say I already have hearing aids or, I know I have glasses, so I only want to talk about dental vision and hearing. Other people, they don't wear glasses or they don't care about the vision and hearing, so they do only want dental. I would say I might only have like 2 people that have the dental only. But even if they ask for dental only, a lot of times I will still present, like I said, both of them because they can see, well, you're going to get all 3 of these. Yeah, you don't have a crystal ball. You don't know what could come up. You might need vision and hearing in the future. But when I pick my carriers, there is one I really, really like just from my client feedback. And it's because of that second bullet, because of the networks.
Right.
I mean, let's just be honest. Dentists are picky.
Yes.
Dentists are picky about what type of insurances they like to carry.
Yeah.
And the other thing is I feel like people are picky about their dentists. Like they're loyal.
Yeah.
They don't want to change. And so it's been difficult to find. I rarely find a dental plan that has their dentist in network, even when I'm looking at all the plans available. And so I like to go with plans that will work like a reimbursement, that will allow them to still go out of network. And then just it works like a reimbursement. You know, you pay the bill, get it to me, and we take it from there.
Yeah. And again, that's going to be better than nothing.
Yes,
that
for
they're
sure.
going to get that. And I think the way you're presenting it is that super honest of like, hey, these plans are a little bit more expensive for how much money you get.
But they're used to that. They're like, well, my dental plan's awful now.
Yeah.
But I have it and I want it. Like, okay.
Right. And something to like look at with those plans is that kind of year 1, year 2 coverage.
Oh, the waiting periods,
because,
for sure.
Exactly. Like, am I going to be able to go see a dentist tomorrow?
Yep.
Is a big one we get. And then like people that have major work to be done is like, okay, well, how long do I have to wait to do that?
Uh-huh.
And clients don't know when they have major work coming up a lot of times.
Exactly. And dental work sometimes you can't wait.
You can't wait.
Yeah.
But let's say like you're talking to that client about like how expensive it is. It's like, well, let's say 2 years down the road, you have some major services that need to be done. They're going to cost $3,000.
Mm-hmm.
And this one's covering at 60% of that. So yes, you pay that premium until you hit that mark, but you're instantly going to get paid back.
Right.
Essentially, whenever
exactly when
you
it
have that.
happens. Yeah.
Because dental work, it just costs a ton.
It does.
Like, it seems like everything anymore does. Like, eggs cost $1 bajillion. So, dental work costs $3 bajillion. So, looking at dental coverage is just that. Look at the networks. Look at kind of what coverages they get.
Yep.
And I personally love the DVH option.
Yep.
Because no matter what they need,
what happens,
they're going to be
it's
covered.
there.
Right.
Absolutely.
Like my dad, he's certain he doesn't need hearing aids. But then if I like say something to him, I'm not directly looking at him like I'm just talking this way. He's, what?
What? No idea what you said.
So something to consider. But that kind of wraps up what we're looking at. And those are blank. So go over here. Go over here, like our Facebook page. I'll share that Care Initiative page there.
Yes, please do. Please do.
So you can see some of the awareness side of things is what it's going to be on. It's different foundations that are available. We like to share little things on there all the time like that. So I'll make sure I put that on there.
The video that was just made not too long ago was amazing.
Oh, yeah.
Just full-blown crying in my room watching
it. the cancer survivor video. Yeah,
yes.
That was really good. We shot a video in here one day that was just a few of kind of our friends around the office. It's hit way too many
survivors, and it was heart-wrenching.
Yeah. It was a fun day because like we got to kind of reminisce and talk about like, well, we're here now. Like that was the important part of it. And it was.
And they had great cancer policies in place.
Everybody but me. Which is why I advocate so hard for it.
Oh,
I was 27. I like fear.
Nobody's thinking about.
I want to use my money.
Thinking about cancer policies at 27. You're thinking of beer.
Yeah, exactly. So I learned my lesson, and I have one, and I'm getting ready to have I got one through our group insurance because underwriting wasn't a thing. So I said, yes, please sign me up, which I also didn't know for a couple years. So everyone's like, you're not on our group policy? I was like, no, I have to wait the 5 years. They're like, it's a group policy, Clayton. I'm like, I know Medicare, all right? I don't think about group. So I got on that. And then my buddy here, Will, is getting ready to write me on a banker's policy, actually.
There you go.
So I'm going to put my whole family on another one. So we're going to be fully covered.
Fully covered.
Everyone's going to be covered. And it doesn't cost that much, especially because we're young. So
I mean, everybody's going to have cancer in like 20 years.
But these and the aliens.
And the aliens.
Maybe
the aliens will just like
suck
the cancer out of us.
Maybe. We don't know. We're not sure yet.
We'll be their test subjects.
This is like pre-chat, post-chat convo.
Post-chat.
But we appreciate you guys. I know next week, I think I'm back. And then we're going to kind of just get on our rhythm here going into AEP.
Yes. Starting in September, you will see a lot more of me. I've been short. I don't know if Olivia shared. I've been short help. Just say
Help
that.
me.
Yes.
Wait, this is random before we go
Yeah.
for everyone. Is your daughter doing dance class this semester?
Oh yeah.
We'll see you there.
Our daughters are gonna see this.
Yeah. It's adorable.
So
I'm so
cute.
excited. Okay, well, thank you guys so much. If you have any questions, pop over to that text line that's normally available, but Olivia being out, so we didn't even put it on there today.
Yeah.
Facebook's out there. Give us a holler, whatever needs to work, and
We'll see you next week.
we'll see you next
I'll
week.
see you next week.
I will. What's the sign off part? I always forget the first part because I only have to do the second.
Until next time,
It's
have fun,
make money
and give impeccable service.
Gosh, we're good.
We're good.
All right. See you guys.